This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
That was a heavyweight battle right there. That really was. Both teams, even though one's from the east, one's from the west, it's like we play each other 8 times a year. There was a lot of trash talk going on. There were some big hits. There was a lot happening, and I think that both teams recognize that you want to be number one, and it was a great game. I just thought punch counter punch kind of going on all night.
Got to agree with head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, Scott Arniel there. It was a great game. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line is going to win a VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later on in the show. Jim Toth, do you agree with head coach Scott Arniel about last night's game? It was a heck of a hockey tilt.
I got to tell you, Wash Method, I could always use a car wash, but after that game, I needed a shower. That was
You're sweating
battle.
bullets.
I was on the edge of my seat. I thought the broadcast crew at 680 CJOB, Paul Edmonds, Mitchell Clinton did a great job of calling it, but it had everything. And the reason I really like what Scott Arniel had to say is the description of it felt like that was the 8th time we faced each other.
Yeah.
It's funny, right? Because sometimes these don't live up to the billing, but both these matches have. And Mason Appleton in the rink said it after while talking to Sarah Orlesky. You got the best team in the East and the best team in the West going at it, and that's what happens, right? And so I thought it was a playoff game. I thought it had everything you needed. And I really liked the fact that the Jets had a lead, gave it up, had a lead, got tied both times late in periods. Because, Cam, all year we've been looking at things that this team has gotten better at, and whether it's trailing, coming from behind, not giving up leads, power play, everything. Mm-hmm. One of the things that is also interesting is when they give up a goal late in the period, and the start of that third period, and until Ovechkin with 4 minutes left tied it, that was about as dominant of hockey as you can watch. Not Jets hockey. That was about as dominant of hockey you can watch against a very, very good team. They put their foot down and went out and played amazing. And I know Ovechkin, I think he slow-timed that a bit because it was a wrister, not a slap shot. It kind of...
Well, Mangiapane did the same thing. He waited. He waited Hellebuyck out. That was a brilliant goal.
And maybe that's the book on Hellebuyck, right?
Yeah.
Like he is reading plays and anticipating and structurally so good that an off-speed pitch is the only way to kind of beat him. But anyway,
you got to get him with the changeup.
Yeah, the changeup there. But I loved it. I loved the game, and not just because the Jets won. I just loved the game. Like when it ended before overtime, I tweeted out, "This is just fantastic hockey to watch."
Yeah, and just to back up what you were saying there, and I totally agree. 37-0-1 when leading after 2 periods, the Winnipeg Jets, and you see how they can step on their opponents in that last period. And also when they score first, 33-3. So that's how well this team plays with. That's how well this team plays with the lead.
And I want to say one more thing. This is the fun part of the job, is when we see lineup changes like yesterday and we get to talk about it. Yeah. Our listeners weigh in and we all have this, and why Appleton that, and why Iafallo that, and how come not this, and where's Perfetti on that top line. There haven't been many buttons that Scott Arniel has pushed this year that have not worked. Iafallo looked great on that top line.
Yeah.
I thought Mason Appleton had one of his best games. And I thought Cole Perfetti was just as good as he's been the last 3 weeks.
Cole Perfetti, an assist. The depth came through, Jim. We talked about that heading into the game. DeMello, Appleton scores. Nino Niederreiter, great pass. Cross-ice pass to Appleton to get the goal. Lowry assists on the goal. He did a feint line change in overtime. Washington got caught. They would have got caught with too many men if Ehlers hadn't scored. Sandberg has a beautiful pass to Ehlers to spring him in overtime as well. And Perfetti also assisted on the opening goal.
Just fantastic, right?
Yeah, and Iafallo steps up into that top line. And I know he didn't get a point, and this is something maybe we can discuss in the offseason, because I really am excited about this topic. If Iafallo wasn't there net front, that goal's not going to go in, right? No, and is it time the NHL starts, and this isn't a conversation for now because there's so much to unpack from last night's game, but is it a time the NHL starts recording and keeping track of net front goals, right? I'm not saying give them a point, but, Iafallo was key to that goal going in off Morrissey, a beautiful deflection as well. So Yeah, I mean, Appleton gets a big goal, and almost in a similar fashion to Mangiapane's. In the exact same spot on the ice, very similar shots as well, but more physical than I thought. And I was surprised by the physicality.
They don't like each other. Like, this goes back to the old division.
There's only one person on top of the hill, Jim. There can only be one king.
Can't have two number ones.
You can't have two kings. That's never 11. Worked. I mean, the Romans tried that for a bit, having two leaders. Didn't work out so well.
They don't like each other.
Yeah.
And look, Tom Wilson, again, I think he should have been on Team Canada.
He
was right in there. I mean,
I like him.
That's a
guy you want on your team.
Yeah.
My God, yeah.
I remember when he signed that deal at $5 million per, and myself included were like, "What are you doing?" And now he's just the first.
It's like a masterful move now.
First liner for $5 million. But I just loved all of it, and the antics and the penalties, and that's the other big thing that I don't think is being talked about enough. The way the Jets killed penalties last night. Mm-hmm. I keep going back to this game. I don't know why, but it's what stands out to me as the best overall 60-minute performance. But when they shut out Colorado 3-0 at home, the penalty killing was amazing in that game against Colorado's power play. And I thought last night this was too, right? And Luke Schenn, and look, the playoff feel led to even the way they took penalties. Like, the penalties they took were standing up for each other, right? And taking an extra 2 minutes. And when you have a Connor Hellebuck and the penalty kill's working, you can maybe take some chances that you show you're not going to be pushed around. But the Washington Capitals tried to push around the Winnipeg Jets last night, and the Jets wouldn't have it and push back. And I thought that was a lost topic of this too. It just there's 10 games to go, and I know what we're going to hear if they don't win at least 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. But if you're asking me what I think this team is locked and loaded and ready to go. They did not have Gabe Vilardi and Neil Pionk last night.
Yeah.
And they went toe-to-toe with somebody. They got leads.
A healthy Capitals team.
They gave up leads and kept pushing back and went out and got one. And I thought Luke Schenn on the 680 CJOB postgame show had the quote of the night when he said, "I don't know if Sandberg grew up in a pool hall, but that bank shot to Ehlers." Even when he let that go, in 3-on-3, I was like he wound up, and then I knew somebody was going through the neutral zone, and I thought, man, that's a long, risky pass on 3-on-3. I know there's open ice, but if that goes awry or he doesn't quite get to it, you just didn't have the puck for minutes, and now you're giving it away, but the bank shot was perfect.
That's classic Ehlers. Do a play that's going to get you into, if it doesn't work out, it gets you into trouble.
Right? Like, I give Sandberg a ton of credit, because for a younger, I know he's here in a ride more so, but if that pass doesn't bank right and Ehlers even fumbles it in his feet, maybe they keep possession, but nothing comes of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a confident Sandberg with the turnover against Vegas in overtime that turned that series and went from being a 2-2 game if they win 2-2 series to 3-1 to see him now. And I often wondered about that play. And then I watched him in the World Championships, and Sandberg just was contributing points, and it never fazed him. But for a young player in an overtime playoff game, that can often derail you a bit. It didn't. He went on to the World Championships and was great. And then I see that pass last night, and I'm like, man, this remember that guy who wants us to trade Sandberg? This kid is this kid is the future.
Yeah.
Like, the confidence to make that pass in overtime when you haven't had the puck for 2+ minutes.
Yeah, and you're definitely going to see him have more offensive chances now. Like, I don't think he's going to be on the second unit power play if Neil Pionk comes back. Like, you're not going to see him there, but I think you're going to see him as a regular mainstay for the Jets 3-on-3. Let's get to Kurt. Kurt wanted to talk about Nikolai Ehlers, who scored the game winner. He called the hotline here on 680 CJOB, the Jets at Noon hockey hotline at 204-780-6800. Here's Kurt.
Hey, good morning, Cam. It's Kurt calling.
Hey, Kurt.
Great game last night. And obviously, the number one thing that the Jets need to do is we must sign Nick Ehlers to a long-term contract or a contract so that he stays here. What he does on the ice and what he does to the building is you can't replace that. Have a great day. Go Jets, go.
William also texts the show and says, guys, it would be interesting to go back to before the season started and check your audio vault at OB and listen to how many times the two of you wanted the Jets to move on from Ehlers. Just saying. That one from William. Yeah, I don't think I've ever said that, William. I definitely said and still believe that if there's going to be somebody that is likely to move on from this team, I still think it's going to be Nikolai Ehlers. I know he's special. He does things that other people can't. But listen, this team's not going to come back completely intact next year. And I think if somebody's moving on, I think it's Nick Ehlers. But then you see the level of play that he can rise up to, and he made a brilliant play and sent the Jets to the playoffs. The Jets are going to the playoffs.
I think he told the TV broadcast last night he wasn't very good. Like in an intermission.
Yeah, he said that.
And that's the one thing that fans never sort of. I don't know what to do with Nick Ehlers. He's got 61 points in 63 games, and I'll ask you, the fans, much like the team, it's about playoffs. If they go 3 rounds and they play 17 games, he's got to have 15 points.
Decisions have to be made.
It's $9 million probably.
Velarde's going to stick around. You're going to re-sign Samberg. You have to make a decision on Neil Pionk. There's other decisions that have to be made, right? Is there going to be enough money at the end of the day? Or does Nick, as I've heard, we've heard from we've David Pagnotta. We got to go to break. We heard this from Aaliyah Hextall, who was on here in 680 CJOB.
Listen to his post-game last night.
Ehlers is looking for, another opportunity. Maybe where he can play on a first line, because that's not going to happen here.
Listen to his post-game last night. He himself said, I gave the puck away too much, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
He's too often gave the puck away last night. And then as great as he is, I'm not trying to poo-poo the goal and all that he is and how skilled he is, but that's always been the debate with him.
And that's the
Twice
decision.
he gained the zone, circled back, and tried to make a pass through 2 Capitals, and it didn't go through.
If you can keep Nick Ehlers at his current dollar figure, maybe give him $7 million.
Every day of the week.
Absolutely.
Every day of the week.
But if it's going higher than that, then it becomes a conversation. John Shannon's going to be joining us after 12:30 as well. Another team, red hot, could be an opponent for the Winnipeg Jets, and they could even continue to climb up the standings. Who am I talking about? I'll tell you after this.
Jets at noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
The Blues have won 7 in a row. They're in the second wildcard spot. They are who the Winnipeg Jets would play if the playoffs started today. A 6-1 pounding of the Habs last night. Over this 7-game winning streak, they've outscored their opponents, Jim, listen to this, 34-10. 9 games left. 2 points back in Minnesota. The Wild have a game in hand, though. They could catch Minnesota and pass them. And it's not like Minnesota's playing poorly. They're like 500. They're 5-4-1 over the last 10 games. St. Louis is red hot going into the playoffs.
This last couple of weeks, these last 10 games you could play St. Louis, you could play Minnesota, you could play Vancouver, you could play Calgary.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dallas could not finish first.
Dallas could go up
and you could end up playing Colorado.
Yeah. It could be a bunch of scenarios that are still at the playoffs.
New Jersey, and then you got Vancouver.
So this is why I say just quit looking, quit hoping, quit wishing anything. Just the Jets have made the playoffs. Enjoy the final 10 games. And the St. Louis and the Jets play on April 7th, and then they go right to Dallas to play the Stars on the 10th. That's going to be a good week of hockey. Those are going to be interesting contests. John Shannon's going to be with us when we come back.
Be appreciative of what we've done, obviously, and at the start of the year, our first goal, we have a few goals, but our first goal was to eliminate 8 teams, and we did that, obviously, after 60 minutes. So, you have to applaud our players for, doing that, and would like to have done it against Buffalo, but at the same time, and to win the game and get that extra point is just sort of the cream on the top.
Head coach Scott Arniel. I remember him talking about that when he took over the job, Jim, in the summertime. Was like, first things first, we got to get into the playoffs, got to eliminate 8 teams, and we'll take it from there. And
he joined us in August,
goal,
right?
First goal, done.
He joined us in August.
On to the next.
I really like Scott Arniel. Like I said earlier, with Iafallo going up to top line and Mason Appleton moving up to the second, there hasn't been a lot of buttons Scott Arniel hasn't pushed this year that haven't worked. There's a lot of things that have gone right for this team, but he deserves a lot of credit. Like Iafallo on that top line last night, Mason Appleton with the goal. He has his thumb is on this team. He knows it, and it comes from working with Rick Bowness. But he knows his players and he knows his team. Even Nick Ehlers, right? Remember all summer when he joined? Well, all summer in August when he joined us, we asked him about Ehlers.
Yeah.
And he said, I believe heavily in Ehlers. He's a game changer. He can do this, and this. And so last night, the way he approaches it, right? We're not that's not our goal. And we knew we were going to make the play. He approaches it the right way, and we have these goals set, and we obtain them. We have to acknowledge them, but we have to stay focused. He sounds like Mike O'Shea, one game at a time.
John Shannon, an NHL insider and 680 CJOB contributor on the program. Now, hey, John, how are you?
Great, boys. How are you?
Good.
Excellent.
What say you? Scott O'Neill's, finger on the pulse here of this team. I mean, how much does that have to do with him being the associate coach for the Winnipeg Jets for those 2 years under Bonus, and just like he knows these guys inside and out?
Oh, I think that had a tremendous advantage to Scott, and I really think that was key to the start that this team had. The transition from Bonus to Arniel was seamless. And as you guys know, hockey is such a game of emotion and then momentum. I think that seamlessness created a real opportunity for this team to get off to a great start. And let's face it, it's the great start that has them first in the West.
Now, going for the rest of the season, John, how fun is this next 10 games going to be? Not only for the Jets, but for the Wild, for the Blues, for the Flames, the Canucks, Dallas.
It's going to be fun for some of them, Jimmy. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun for all of them. Trust me. When we get to the 17th of April, and I think that there are potentially, although I know there are at least two teams you mentioned that are going to be out of the playoffs, and I do think it still will be fun for the Jets. Although when you look at the numbers, 8 points ahead of Dallas. I'd like to put that one away. If you're a Jets fan, if you're in with the club, I want to put that first place in the Central away to ensure that they don't play the Avalanche or the Stars in the first round. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I know it's a cliche. I know I've heard other people use it. It is such a good slogan. This is our March Madness. Hockey has really created in such a manner, the month of March being so competitive. And it's one of the reasons why every general manager's meeting in Florida that Gary Bettman gets asked, are you changing the format for the playoffs? And the answer is unequivocally no, because this type of year has become so effective and so important to the game of hockey.
How big of an accomplishment? I know they made the playoffs, but 10 games out, the earliest that this franchise has been able to do that, and they finished second in the league back in 17-18, just behind the Nashville Predators. What kind of an accomplishment is it for this organization and these players?
Cam, that is a really difficult question to answer, because superficially the answer is it's fantastic, and it is a great accomplishment. But tell me how 17-18 ended.
Yeah.
And 17-18 was, in my view, the most successful season this team ever had, yet it didn't get them to the Stanley Cup final. This is a preamble. It's not as bad as it is in some other cities that have had less success in the playoffs than the Jets have had, like the city I live in. But at the same time, this 82-game schedule is fantastic until the 19th of April, when the playoffs do start, and everybody starts with a blank slate. There's no laurels to be rested on when you get to the postseason. And so the answer is, God, it's great to see. It has been a spectacular year to be even close to the hockey club as we have been, but it means squat in the postseason.
What needs to happen over these last 10 games? Like, where do the Jets need to? Is it an elevation, or is it about, I know that they're missing Neil Pionk and they're missing Gabriel Velarde. Is it about staying healthy? What's the most important piece of these final 10 games?
Well, I think we've identified the first one is you got to finish first in the division. So, when you look at the amount of games that they have to play, and you look at the teams they have to play, they have a difficult schedule. When you go through everything, Devils, Canucks, Kings, Knights, Utah, St. Louis, Dallas, Chicago, Edmonton, Anaheim, You know, there are no gimmies in that, but you've got to beat the Ducks, you got to beat the Hawks, you got to beat Utah, you got to beat the Canucks. The other ones, those teams are tough right now. So you have to go at least 500 in the remaining 10 games in order to be comfortable where you are. And that could be a challenge because those other teams are fighting for a tougher desire to get to the postseason than you are. So that's the first challenge. The other one is the health that you talked about, Cam. You know, Velarde and Pionk being out. I don't mind if they don't play another game in the regular season, just as long as they're ready for the postseason. It would be nice to have them back, but not risking long-term injury for that. So that's my answer. It's first place in the division, and then make sure you stay healthy. And maybe a smaller number 3 is that make sure Connor Hellebuyck is well rested before the postseason starts.
That is what I was going to ask you next, John, is how much do you play Connor Hellebuyck down this stretch?
I have it. I went through this last week when I was talking to Kevin Hirschfield, because when he asked me this question, and I had in the end Hellebuyck getting to 61 games, Jimmy. If Hellebuyck gets to 61 games, I can live with that. You know, but so much of the onus then becomes when Eric Comrie does play that this team better score some goals. Because that's starting to rear its ugly head. I don't think you could blame Eric for Sunday. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought he played well enough to win the game. This team just couldn't be James Reimer. And we've seen that too many times through this season, particularly early in the season. We've seen it too many times when Eric Comrie plays, as this team just doesn't score enough to help him put a W on the board.
We got a text message from Trevor, and I want to get your thoughts on this, John. He goes, "Hey, guys, has the whiteout ran its course? The Jets' home playoff record is honestly brutal. The Jets play 41 home games in front of a crowd that always looks the same. Then the playoffs come, and they play in front of a crowd wearing white. It's like going into a whole new arena. They need to play in front of a crowd like they had last night." I disagree with you, Trevor, wholeheartedly. What do you think, John?
You know, I kind of like that Trevor guy. Here's the thing. I have never understood. We're in 2025. What color sweaters do the Jets wear at home?
Blue.
Oh. Why isn't it the blue haze then?
Well, because
they used to wear white at home when this started. When the 1.0 Jets played. I'm almost one of those guys that Trevor's got a point.
Oh,
you know, and by the way, when Canada Life's full and the whiteout is there and the crowd is loud, it is a spectacular setting. Spectacular setting. But does it help? And I don't want Scott Brown to call me after this, but you know, I would say I'd like to see the blue haze rather than the whiteout.
Well, the weather would speak to that, but I think the whiteout, a big part of it is Winnipeg. It's snow, it's blizzard, it's whiteout.
Well, listen, and John, I think they should wear white during the playoffs. I think the Jets should do that. I think the Jets.
I don't think they're allowed to.
I know they're not allowed to, but I think they should. I think the Jets should wear white during the playoffs. They should be allowed to. I think that they should wear white at home all the time. I think white was their color before, and now it's changed to blue because of the new rules and all that type of stuff. But no, it's too iconic, and you know I think the debate's going to continue to rage if it helps. But I mean, in my estimation, it's the greatest postseason tradition in the entire country, in the entire continent. I don't think you can get rid of something like that. It's too much a part of the culture, the NHL culture here in the city. But
yeah, no, and I can't argue with you, Cam.
Yeah,
I'd like to poll the players on it, because in the end, I'd love to know what you know those 23 guys think about it, whether it makes some sense for them. It is a tremendously amazing look in the arena. And particularly with Winnipeg fans being so vocal and so creative, with the whiteout. It's a fantastic scene to watch. But Trevor, my friend Trevor there that just texted that in, has a point. It has not really given this team very much luck. And trust me, analytics, scouting, every team needs puck luck. And the Jets haven't had much in the postseason.
Well, I have to agree with you on that one. At home, they have not lived up to expectations, and expectations that the crowd, they come in all fired up. The Jets haven't been able to do that. Can't argue.
By the way, the one thing I would say is I think the NHL should alternate for the first half of the season, use the colored sweaters at home, and then the second half of the season, the white sweaters at home.
Yeah. I mean, it's the tradition, the colors in the white, but I don't know. Like, it used to be you wear white at home, and now it's different. So, how traditional is it really? I think you could have a team that wears red and another team that wears blue. I mean, that's where I am too in terms of the jerseys. But
that's not a bad idea. You know what? That's not a bad idea either.
Yeah,
not a bad idea either. When you watched. What did we watch? Oh, no, we watched the Four Nations. Canada wore red and the Americans wore blue, and nobody sat at home and complained, where's the white sweater?
And I was totally lost, John. I couldn't follow what was going on.
Well, you got it, but we got to stop you from we have to stop you from using that black and white television.
I was just going to say,
that's where it all started, was the black and white television cam. Come on. Now.
I was just going to say I love black because it's slimming, so maybe black jerseys.
I should be wearing a ton of black then.
Well, that's why I wear a ton of black, John.
John Shannon, NHL Insider and CJOB contributor. John, always a pleasure. You take care, okay?
Cheers, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. There's a lot of support for John, and backing up Trevor there and about the white, about the whiteout. I mean, listen, we got quite a few text messages here coming in. I might even say and this is not a scientific survey or anything like that. But I might even say it's a majority of the text messages, the slew that we just got in here, the people saying
I got an email late last night. I said, "Hi, Jim and Cam, please keep my name private because I don't want Jets fans coming for me."
Yes.
Enjoy your shows. Every year when playoffs roll around, the Jets and the whiteout talks start. I can't help but feel that our whiteouts jinx us, especially in the early rounds, which seem to be where our playoff run ends. To me, it's over and done with. High pressure on the team makes us look desperate. I think we're reading way too much into this.
Totally. I think the players get so excited for the whiteout. And I'd love to, what John just brought up there, I'd love to get the players' opinion on this. Maybe that's...
I think they think it's great, and I don't think they care. If they probably have an opinion on it, but I don't think it factors into anything. I think we're overthinking this. I think this speaks of how desperate Jets fans are for this team to have some playoff success.
I think also it's this building anxiety, Jim. We talked about our off mic yesterday. This pessimism starting to seep in, this growing anxiety. The playoffs are coming, and everybody's reaching for something. Oh, it's the whiteout. That's psyching them out. You know what? It's like a guy that gets injured, right? They're injury prone until they're not injury prone anymore.
Yeah.
Right? They can't win with the whiteout until they start winning with the whiteout again, right? This is not secular, right? This isn't systemic.
The Jets can win the whiteout and the stuff. Like I do, I've talked to the players that sit in that change room and they say they can hear the whiteout parties inside the building.
Yeah.
Like from outside. So they get there around 4 whatever for a 7:00 puck drop. And they sit in the room and they can hear the when the chant, all that stuff. And then Brandon Tanev told me years ago, because he lived downtown, he would walk through it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, we'd have playoff games and I would, do my bike and shower and I would purposely go outside the Canada Life Center and walk through the whiteout crowd because it was awesome. Now, that's not because it was whiteout. It was just the atmosphere.
Let's take a break. Let's come back. The Calder race, is it a foregone conclusion, or does some people have a point about Michkov, maybe top in Celebrini? We'll talk about that when we come back. And also we'll give away our Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. Jets at Noon brought to you by our good buds at Wash Method. We'll be right back. Real quick, just to carry on with the whiteout conversation, it was going to happen organically anyways. In the playoffs, the fans were going to show up and wear white because it's just so symbolic. Beyond anything else, it's ingrained in the hockey culture here. So, listen, this is a debate that's going to rage on. I'm 100% on one side of it, where it should continue. You might disagree with me.
Change is inevitable. but also I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in superstitions either, so
No.
I don't think it factors in whatsoever. I don't want it to change because I'm a traditionalist, but
I love
I
it.
don't mind you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I just sometimes I feel we're changing things to change them.
Well, just because it's bad juju or whatever.
If they win 4 cups in a row, are we even talking about the whiteout?
It's the reason why they keep winning. Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Andrews Road, VIP texter. This goes to Daryl. That's how to play, he says. Total team effort, grind. Not one player excelled. The whole team did it as a group. Player of the game goes the entire group. That one from Daryl. VIP texter was going to go to car wash, get a car wash at Wash Method. He says, long time listener. Can't wait to take the wife on the Wash Method date. Costco was a date day. This is going to blow her away. LOL. Thanks, guys. Daryl, you're right.
Roll up one of those Costco hot dogs and have them in the back seat, and when the suds start flowing at Wash Method, you pull out that hot dog. I mean,
well, yeah, that's the thing.
You better book a room on your way home.
That's my date. Costco, followed by rolling through Wash Method. So, Daryl, you're welcome.
We don't know romantic meals, Cam and I. We don't know anything.
That's what I do. That's
Costco
passion. It instills passion. Oh, I had one on Monday.
Couple sodas.
I had one on Monday. Matvey Michkov says 16 points, most 5-on-5 points since February 6th. He's got 51 points in 71 games, 20 goals. Macklin Celebrini in 58 goals. He missed a little bit with injury. He's got 52 points. Michkov has a higher point per time on the ice than Celebrini, but I mean, Celebrini's almost a point per game player.
I go with Celebrini right now. Michkov's in tough too with the team he's on.
So is Celebrini.
So is Celebrini, right? I hear this a lot. Well, Michkov's on the Flyers. I'm like, have you seen the Sharks?
Yeah.
But the Sharks work hard. I give a slight edge to Celebrini, but both are fantastic young players.
It's the point per game thing on a team like the Sharks as a rookie, as an 18-year-old coming into the league. That's the impressive thing for me. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Fortier, for producing the show. Jim Toth, take all the way till 2 o'clock. I'm off. I'm back on Tuesday. See ya.